Now move on to my second story. It's about this picture. It's at the bottom of page 62 in this book. And here there is a girl who is cooking something in the kitchen. And our today's topic is describing food. I hope that is interesting. Well, first, I hope you are not hungry. I hope that this video doesn't make you hungry, because today we are going to talk about how to describe food. Sorry. Well, I'm not going to tell you the names of different types of food. I'm not going to show you some pictures of food and tell you what the food is called. Instead, in this lesson, I will help you learn some different words and phrases so that you can use in English to describe food that you ate, that you are eating, to describe food that you ate maybe several days ago, a few days ago. So again, in this lesson, we are going to talk about how to describe food, how food tastes, how food looks, how food behaves a little bit as well. Okay, now come with me and let's find out. First is an adjective. It is overcooked. Overcooked food, that it means food that has been cooked for too long. Yes, for too long. For example, when you put green bean on the stove. Green bean, do you know that? Green bean is a type of bean that is a long green pot. That is a long thin green pot. It is cooked and eaten whole as a vegetable. Okay, and you can search on internet in the section image so that you have a picture of this type of bean, green bean. Okay, and when I have some green bean, I want to boil them or I want to steam them in 3 or 4 minutes. And when you cook them that way, your green bean comes out with a nice green color, and it's still a little bit crunchy, a little bit crispy. Crunchy is an adjective. It is spelled C-R-U-N-C-H-Y. It means it's hard and making a sharp noise when you bite into it. Okay? So again, when you just steam or boil green bean in 3 or 4 minutes, your green bean come out with a nice green color and it's a little bit crunchy or crispy. But some people want to overcook their green bean, and at that time their green bean come out with a pale green color. Pale means it's light in color. It contains a lot of white, okay, white color in it. And pale means it's not quite green. It's contain a lot of white in it. Okay, so and I think when you overcook your green bean and your green bean become a pale green color, where I think we have cooked all of good nutrients out of their beans. Okay, and so there is one way to describe food that is overcooked. And of course, I think food that is overcooked isn't tasty, right? And of course, I think I like mine to be quite green and it is still a little bit crunchy. Yes, I want my green bean to be quite green and a little bit crunchy. Next, we have opposite of overcooked is undercooked. I think you know the meaning of this word because two words are opposite. Over, under. Over, under. When overcooked means you cook food for too long, so undercooked means food. It means undercooked food is that means food that has not been cooked long enough. Okay. For example, when I eat steak, I like my steak usually medium, to be medium, and some people like their steak to be rare, to be rare. But when you cooked a steak rare, I consider it to be undercooked, to be undercooked. Some people think that is perfect, but for me, I like things cooked a little bit longer. So if I was served a steak and it was rare, so it was rare, so I would say that my steak is still a little bit undercooked, and undercooked is a little bit cold in the middle. So could you cook it for a little bit longer? So again, overcooked means you cook food for too long. Undercooked means you cook has not been long enough, has not been cooked long enough. Next, we have raw. Raw means food that has not been cooked. Raw means not cooked. Well, raw food is simply food that has not been cooked. You might be someone who likes seafood that is raw. You might like eating fish that is raw. Okay, you might eat a lot of raw vegetables and raw food, and I think it's very quite common when you like eating raw fruit and vegetables, because you don't need to cook all those kinds of things, right? And some people do really enjoy eating raw fish. So raw simply means that food has not been cooked, food that has not been baked, food that has not been boiled, food that has not been fried, food that has not been roasted, food that has not been, etc. I think those are all things of the ones I can think of for how to prepare food. I think there's more. Okay, now move to another way to describe your food that is fresh. Fresh means I make reference on the internet, and you can have the definition of this word, fresh. Fresh means recently produced and picked. It has not been frozen or dried or preserved in tins or cans. Okay, so fresh food is usually used to refer to food that is recently delivered to a grocery store. Well, I think that's a good way to say it, to describe fresh food. So fresh food and vegetable means that they are ripe, they are ready to eat, and you definitely want your food to be as fresh as possible, right? But I think there is another way to describe fresh food. I think, for example, fresh food, like if you buy fresh vegetables, okay, they probably were like in the farmer's field 2 days ago, and then vegetables were quickly brought to the grocery store, and then you go there to buy it to get some groceries. Okay, and there's one thing to describe it, that is, for example, when you have your own garden, and then you can go out and cut fresh vegetables whenever you want. I think that is the best way to get your fresh vegetables, right? Because it was immediately delivered to the farm, to the garden, into your kitchen, very fresh. Okay. And the last word I want to bring you now is burnt. Burnt is burnt here. Burnt here we can use it as an adjective. Yes, it is a verb. We say burn, burnt, burnt. Okay, so burnt food is means that burnt food is means food that has been overcooked to the point when it starts to turn black, right? Again, burnt food means food that has been overcooked to the point when it starts to turn black. Sometimes you leave toast in the toaster too long and it gets burned. Sometimes you leave something in the oven for too long and it gets burned. So burnt food does not taste good, of course. When I was a kid, I burnt my toast, and my mom would make me scrape burnt part, burnt back off with a knife, and eat it anyways because they didn't want us to waste food. So do you know that some people like burnt toast? For example, my father in my mother's side, my grandfather on my mother's side, on my mom's side, liked eating burnt toast. I don't like burnt toast. I don't mind if it's a little bit burnt, but when it turned black, it has a charred look. I think it's too much for me. Okay, that's all about describing food that I want to share with you. Thank you for watching.